I was curious, how do you feel like when you finally release? Is it like if I might gotta rephrase that maybe. But how do you Hello, I'm here with Casey from Space, the creator of The Pale Deep. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello. Yes, I am the creator of the Pale Deep, among other things.
So I was looking at your kind of portfolio, I guess, and
Mm.
I haven't played them myself, but I was looking at Jovian Drive and Backspace. I saw them on Steam. Do you want to tell me a
Mm.
little bit about those? Jovian Drive, particularly, looked really interesting.
Yeah, so Jovian Drive specifically is I feel like a very niche game. Are you familiar with Desert Bus? Like the game where you drive in a straight line for 8 hours?
No, I haven't heard of that.
So it's kind of like an infamously bad game that's meant to be bad, where
Okay.
you drive in a straight line. For some reason, I've beaten it. For some
Wow.
reason, I love that game because I love just games like American Truck Simulator and stuff where you just have like a very where you just drive for like long distances. And I've always wanted to make a game like that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what Jovian Drive is. The drives in that game are very long, and it's really just about like staying on the path. It's very simple, and I
Okay.
kind of knew when I made that game that it was going to be for like 6 people that actually cared about that.
Right.
Backspace is much more of like a more broadly appealing game. That's a puzzle game, sort of like an exploratory puzzle game. That makes it sound like a surgery. I'm not good at genres.
Right.
um,
It reminded me of something like
mhm.
RPG Maker type games
It
or
is made
like,
in RPG Maker,
okay,
yes.
cool. Even like
Yeah, so
Undertale-esque.
I made that in RPG Maker before I learned Godot, which is what I use now. And Jovian
Gotcha.
Drive is partially a simple game because that's what I wanted to make, and also it was my first game in Godot, so I thought it'd be a good like simple idea
Oh, there you go.
to learn
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so Backspace is yeah, if I were to recommend one of my previous games, I definitely recommend Backspace because I feel like Jovian Drive is for like is for almost nobody. Because
Okay.
only like it's a very specific. I don't know. If you, I say it has clicked with some people. It really is meant to be like a background game that you play like while on a call or while listening to something because it's very simple,
Right.
and to many very boring. But if you want a more like traditional, I say traditional game in the fact that it's like fun.
Yeah.
I'd recommend Backspace because I'm still very proud of. Well, I'm proud of both of them, but I think Backspace is. I think most people would enjoy Backspace.
Nice. Okay, yeah, that sounds
Mm.
great. Well, what originally inspired you to even start making games in the first place?
So I have made a lot of projects of all sorts of types. I actually, in my Discord server, I have an archive chat of just like all the different things I've made. So I've had like a webcomic. I've done like a YouTube series called Fate of the Solar System. I've made original music, and
Nice.
so basically, in a long time ago, back when I was in like middle school, I would make like RPG Maker games. But
Oh,
I never. They were like using the default RPG Maker assets,
sure,
and like
yeah.
the default music and sounds. And for in 2024, for Fate of the Solar System, I learned how to make like original music in like FL Studio. And I realized after making that project that I had like by that point developed all the skills I needed to make like a proper RPG Maker game. Because by that point, I had learned to make like my own art and assets. I had now learned to make my own music. So I realized like, oh, I could actually like if I did an RPG Maker game now, I could like actually make something fully original. And that's what led me to make Backspace. And
Okay.
then after making Backspace, I just kind of wanted to learn something more because, like, no offense to RPG Maker, it's there's a lot of some of my favorite games are made in RPG Maker,
Right,
but if you've
yeah.
ever used it, it's definitely a lot more limited. Like
Yeah,
if you look at 10 different RPG Maker games, they all look like kind of the
vaguely the same.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because it's a much more limited engine. So I wanted to learn something like Godot or Unity, and I just went with Godot because one of my favorite developers uses it, and it's free,
That's fair,
and
yeah.
I really like it. And yes, I just learned. I just I watched YouTube tutorials and made Jovian Drive, and then I uh, and now I make things in Godot, and that's how that happened.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that makes sense as like a kind of
Mm-hmm.
development pipeline. Because even I, way back
Mm-hmm.
when I was a kid, I messed around with RPG Maker just for fun. Because I was like, well, this seems neat. Let me try this out. And it's pretty complicated. Like it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. It's a really great like entry tool to get into game development because yeah, it's not easy. Like you definitely have to, learn very important skills of game development. And then like I think once you've like I don't want to say I've mastered RPG Maker because I definitely
Sure,
haven't, but
right.
once you've gotten like pretty good at using RPG Maker, that's a really good jumping off point to get into like Unity or Godot, like a more versatile game engine where you can make like whatever game you want.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I noticed that a lot of your games have like a space theme that's just, and even your name and your profile
Mm-hmm.
picture, you're just like, is that just a special interest for you, kind of?
Yeah, I just really like space. I have a bunch of space stuff here on my desk. I just really like everything to do with space. So, basically every time that I'm like making a creative project, and I mentioned my Fate of the Solar System is a thing I've done.
Oh, yes.
Basically, anytime when I'm sitting down to come up with a new project, I'll probably like I'll veer towards a space concept because I just really enjoy space as a setting, and it's
Gotcha.
definitely one of my main interests.
Yeah, it's very versatile. You could do like basically infinite things with space because it is
Mhm.
infinite.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've done both a comedy game and now a horror game with
That's
the
true.
same setting.
I guess that's a good way to jump into just the Pale Deep specifically. I was wondering what kind of your inspiration was at. Obviously, the first connection I made, and probably other people too, was to Iron Lung. Is that about where it came from, you think?
Yeah, so it's very much inspired by two games, Iron Lung and then Voyager 19, which that game is inspired by Iron Lung. So
Ah,
that's like
okay.
just a more roundabout way of being inspired by Iron Lung, I suppose. Um, yeah, so I really love Iron Lung. Sorry, I have a kitten. If you hear the meowing in the
Oh my gosh.
background.
Yeah, my cat's laying in my lap right now, so I get it. I fed her before this, so she wouldn't be yelling.
Yes. I really like Iron Lung, and if you've ever played Voyager 19, it's very similar, but also very unique. I love that game. Honestly, I like
Mhm.
Voyager 19 a little bit more. If you ever like play that, you'll see the Pale Deep inspiration from that one especially.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played it yet,
Um,
but I might
mhm.
might do that. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I really recommend it. Um, but both of those games, I really like the concepts where you're in these like tiny vessels and you're using your like research tools, or like your observation tools. Like, well, I mean, in Iron Lung, it's just the camera. In
Yeah.
Voyager 19, you have a couple. You have a camera and like an audio recorder as well.
Okay.
Um, and both games though they kind of just lead up to like one jump scare at the end, like Iron Lung with
Yeah.
the monster.
That was
And
kind
there's a
of
similar
my
thing.
that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
my one like thing I didn't really like about the Iron Lung. Like it was the gameplay was really good, but there was a bunch of build up
Mm-hmm.
just for like a jump scare at the end, and it felt kind of cheap and didn't it wasn't really a good payoff for me personally.
Yeah, exactly. So I love the gameplay of Iron Lung, and I basically love the entire game up until the ending. I just
Yeah.
don't like that it leads up to because you may have noticed that the Pale Deep doesn't have any jump scares because I don't really like jump scares.
Yeah, and it would have been easy to
Mm-hmm.
do too, have like a FNAF style, like rah, this thing
Mm-hmm.
jumps out at you and you die.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so basically the inspiration to make the Pale Deep was I wanted to make a game like Iron Lung that that was I don't want to say more of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh but like was specifically the idea was like once you watch somebody play Iron Lung, you have experienced Iron Lung. You don't really
Yeah.
have a reason to play it yourself because everybody goes down basically the same path. You see all the same things, and then it just leads to a jump scare.
Yeah, that's very true.
So my idea with the Pale Deep was to make a game that's like sort of unique to every player and so that it could be more replayable and also wouldn't just lead to a jump scare because the Pale Deep does have like an ending.
Okay, yeah, I haven't
Uh,
gotten that far yet.
mhm. Yeah, the ending is spoilers. It's around 12,000
Okay,
meters.
got it.
It's a little bit different for every player actually because the
Interesting.
depths at which things happen is randomized a little bit. Like when you start a new game,
Mm-hmm.
there's like it picks a value between like one and or zero and 1,000, I believe,
Okay,
and it'll add that to the depth that certain things happen. So for every
gotcha.
player, like the ranges are just a little different. So I wanted to make a game where, like, if you could watch somebody play the Pale Deep, you can play it on your own, because the big sort of gimmick with it is that the monster's weaknesses are unique for every player, and the game's all about figuring out those weaknesses.
Yeah.
So even if you know everything, if you start a new save file, you have to figure it all out again.
So that's something I didn't even realize until I saw a recent TikTok of yours where you mentioned it being
Mhm.
randomized, and I was like, oh, that makes sense actually.
Yeah, that's like that was the main idea that started the creation of the game.
Okay. So you just started from that point and then kind of built the rest of it around it. You were like iron lung but
Yeah.
randomized and
hmm
Jovian. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, because I was trying to. I think when I first played it, I didn't. I was having a hard time like wrapping my head around just the core gameplay loop, and I've played it a
hmm
bit more since, and I've kind of started to understand it better. It's like, oh, when you see this entity, you have to figure out what you can do to not die, obviously, and then
hmm
record that down for your future runs. Is it whenever if you like die and start a new run, does that re-randomize how you escape things, or does that stay consistent between runs?
Yeah, so it is consistent for a single playthrough. So
Okay,
it randomizes everything when you press like the new game button.
that makes sense.
So when you start a playthrough, it like sets the weaknesses for everything, and then that playthrough is figuring out those like locked in like weaknesses.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured because
hmm
it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for it to randomize every time you die. That would defeat the purpose a little bit.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point of the database, or that's the entire point of the database,
Yeah.
is that you can write down what you've learned. Like, oh, the creature that taps on the vessel,
Mm-hmm.
I figured out that if you turn the power off, it goes away. So you can write that down in your database. So you can look at that whenever you encounter it again.
Yeah. So far on my like second playthrough, I just every time I see something, I just crank my lever the other way and just try to go up and like
Mm-hmm.
run away and like turn off my radar and
Mm-hmm.
just like so far I haven't really figured out how to avoid things yet. They've both killed me. It was the
Mm-hmm.
taps and the wisps on the picture. Both of
I
those
will
I
say
just
that
started
is
turning
kind
stuff
of
off
is a
and
good
running away.
strategy
Yeah.
to try multiple things at once,
Mm-hmm.
because if something shows up and you try like half your defenses, if
Yeah.
it doesn't work, you've narrowed it down to the other half, and if it
That's
does
true.
work, you've narrowed it down to the first half, which is
Yeah.
I that's sort of how I play. Is I'll try to test like half the defenses, and then if it works, I'll try half of those defenses, and I'll sort
Yeah.
of narrow it down.
That makes sense. That's smart. Yeah.
hmm
I've been in my brain, the way I like compartmentalize information, it's like there's entities and there's defenses, as you put it. So, like, which
hmm
entity matches which defense? So I gotta, like,
hmm
basically connect those lines.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean that exactly. And that's it's like when you finish the game, your database will basically look like, entity 1 weakness, entity 2 weakness.
yeah, that makes sense. Right now, to me, it's like, entity tapped, tried to this and that, imploded.
hmm
But yeah, that's really cool. I do like that. It's like you just continuously learn more and more and keep trying until you've figured the game. You like solve the game essentially, and then if you
hmm
want to get a new set of puzzles, just hit new game.
Yeah, I think it's fun just because right now I'm in the process of testing the update that I'm working on, and I'm doing new games, and I have to figure it out all for myself because I don't know
Right.
either.
I was wondering if you maybe had put like a back end, like even just like a console command you can put in, and it just like
hmm
this entity, this weakness, and it just tells you. I was kind
hmm
of wondering if that was a thing that you might have.
I have done that, like when testing. I like the first time I beat the game in full,
Mm-hmm.
when I was first like getting it ready, was I had a thing set up that and actually I think it's still in the game if you were able to access like the game's console, which I don't think is there's like a way to do that.
Right.
But whenever you start a new game, it does print to the console all the monsters' weaknesses, which I
Okay.
would I would use if for testing. But like since the gameplay is figuring out monsters' weaknesses, I feel like I'm not like properly testing it if I don't, like I try to play it properly to make sure everything's actually working.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want to get the
hmm
experience that your players are gonna get.
hmm
No, that makes a lot of sense. But speaking of the updates, I saw again like a recent TikTok you were talking about some of the update things you were adding. One of
hmm
them that seemed interesting was new game modes. Can you talk about those, or is it still too early in development?
Yeah, so the game modes are known because you can actually, for those interested, the update is currently on the experimental branch. So
Oh,
if
there
you
you
go to
go.
like if you go to the game's like properties on Steam, you can opt into the beta branch or whatever, and try out the new modes. So the new
Nice.
update has a challenge mode and an endless mode. Endless mode's pretty self-explanatory.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of the game's ending, it just keeps going and gets harder. It just goes on indefinitely. Um, and challenge mode's a little bit more interesting. So in challenge mode, the creatures' spawn rates are they're much higher. Yeah, they're a good bit higher. I don't know if it counts as much, but
Right.
they're a good bit higher. And this was actually my friend's idea. You have a limited number of cadets. I'm
Oh,
sort of figuring
interesting.
out how many is a good amount. Right now it's
Yeah.
30, but I might lower or raise that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Because I haven't really played. I don't know how hard it is with these higher spawn rates, so I got to get a
Yeah.
feel for if that number is good. Um, but so that's the new challenge mode, and that is available now on the experimental branch. But the
Sweet.
whole catch with that is the unstable branch. It's in the process of
Right.
testing, so you can get the update early, but it might delete your save file. I don't
That's
know.
fair. Yeah, I saw that you had some
Yeah.
issues with the save file deletion
Yeah.
once. That
That's a
sounds
really good story in terms of like testing your games. Is
yeah.
I thought an update was really simple. So people have wanted a settings button on the main menu, which is a crazy oversight. I don't know how I missed that. That's fixed in the new update. You can
Awesome.
now access. It's not on the main menu, but when you start a new game, it takes you to the like orbiter mission control screen first, so you can adjust the settings before the tutorial.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
how
good.
I mean, to be honest, the reason I missed that is just because whenever I would test the game, I already had a save file, so I didn't do a lot of testing from a blank games. I wanted to change the settings,
Mm-hmm.
I just load the game and edit them. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah, that's one
But
of those
it'll
things
be
of making
fixed.
sure you get the player's experience.
Yeah, and so basically the update, I added a settings button to the main menu, and for poor planning reasons, uh, it deleted people's save files, and I didn't test. I tested to make sure the button worked, but I didn't
Yeah.
like play the game. So
Right.
I rolled the update out to the main branch, and as far as I know, only two people lost their save files, but that still sucks. It's
Yeah.
really not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So test your games or do an experimental branch and test them.
Yeah,
That's what I'm doing now.
that is so crazy that something like adding a settings button can wipe people's saves in like
It sounds like like how does that even happen? But like I when I it's basically the way it worked is that whenever you would close settings, it would run the game's like save function to make sure that like if you
uh
adjust the settings, close settings, and then close the game, I wanted
mm-hmm.
it to keep those settings. So it would just run the save function. But when I put the settings button on the main menu, the game loads your save data when you press load game.
Right.
So if you would press the settings button before loading your game and then you'd close the settings, it would then run the save function and save all of the nothing data
I
because
see.
you hadn't loaded your game, so it would save nothing over your save file.
Man,
And so that's how that happened. I
that
just didn't
really
think about that.
that's such a great example of like how development and like coding works. Just that process,
Yeah, and how it's
the
hell.
yeah, the order yeah, the order of operations matters so much.
Yeah. I don't want to say it's hell because I don't want to scare people out of making games.
Right,
Just
right.
test them. I would
Yeah.
have caught it if I play tested for 5 minutes. I just thought I didn't need to because it was so simple.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's crazy.
Hmm.
What a wild thing to happen. I had something else I was gonna mention on the last topic we were just on, but now I can't
Hmm.
remember what we were talking about before
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry. I kind of went on a tangent
No,
there.
no, you're totally fine. Oh, the I know what it was. Your when you had like the how many cadets can you bring? The spawn rates. That almost sounds like it would be
Hmm.
conducive to like adjustable difficulty, like putting those settings in the
Hmm.
player's hands so you can scale how much spawn rates are, how much like cadets you get. Maybe make like a challenge mode for yourself, like max spawn rate
Hmm.
one cadet.
That's actually an interesting idea. I didn't think about doing like an easier mode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of iffy on doing adjustable difficulties because I'm personally more about like making a like tailor made like experience
Right.
rather than having like because it almost feels like if you can adjust all of those settings, it's like I didn't want to balance the game, so you can balance the game. It feels like I'm
Sure.
passing the balancing onto the players. But like the most I would do like that is maybe like implementing like a more like an easy mode that just probably lowers the spawn rates. But
Yeah.
then there's the whole issue of like the game's already like, especially the early on in the game, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
slow because things don't spawn a lot. So it's like, would that make the game too boring?
Right.
It's
You could just
That's where
probably
it
go
kind of
all the
gets
way
into the
down without
issues.
seeing anything if the spawn rate's too low,
Hmm.
and then you're like, well, what did I even play this for? There was no content. Nothing
Yeah.
happened.
So I do think it's, yeah, you have to be careful about like, like, because I do think difficulty settings are a good thing, but
Yeah.
also I want the game to like be fun. I don't want to put it on like the players to to figure out a fun experience for themselves.
Right. That makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but that does make sense. Your biggest struggle so far, is that just like those testing, like the coding problems you're talking about, like getting people's save files wiped and stuff?
Yeah, honestly, testing is like the hardest part, like maybe mentally, just because it's like it to you it feels like the game is done and you want
Yeah.
people to play it because it's, look, I have this finished thing, I want people to play it, but you just have to like, no matter how much it seems like it's done, it's you gotta test it because
Yeah.
it again, I opened the game, I made sure the settings button worked, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't make sure that it didn't, because I didn't think in a million years it would break the game itself.
Right. Yeah. No, that
And
that
it's
would
it's so
do the
easy
same
because
thing.
like right now, the current build of the update that's on the experimental branch, I think it's ready to go. But I know that if I put it on main branch without testing, the horrors will ensue. So I
Right.
feel like that's kind of like the hardest part, is just like having the discipline to make sure that you test your games even if it seems fine,
Yeah.
because something probably isn't fine.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience with like video editing. I'll
Hmm.
spend hours editing a video and I'm like, man, it's just got to be done at this point, right? Like it's definitely done. And then I'll find like a tiny thing. Like there was one I've been playing. Are you familiar with Rogue Trader?
um
It's a
it
40K
sounds kind of
CRPG.
familiar.
Like
I'm not sure.
okay, but it's I was doing a playthrough of that and I decided it's like 20 hours of content and I'm just in act 1 because it's
Hmm.
like this massive CRPG, right? So I went through and I did
Hmm.
like a super cut and I just like cut out all the downtime. It was like 13 hours of footage, put it out there, and I realized there was a mass like a big like clip right in the center of it that was in double speed because I was watching it through in double speed to edit it, and I just forgot to set that clip back to one time speed. So there was just this like section in the middle that was like and just like sped through, and I was like, oh my god, now I have to re-edit, re-upload this massive video, and I was like, just I should have just like played
Oh,
it through, made sure it was good,
yeah, it's
but
so tempting because I've done stuff like that with video editing too, where like it's like I've already it feels like you've already watched through the video because you go through the whole thing while editing
mm-hmm.
it. So it's like I've already seen this all. I don't need to watch it, but then you realize that like there's a big black box on the screen for half the
Yeah.
video that like.
Yeah, a big one too for me in the early videos, like my early creation was audio balancing. Like I would record a video,
Mm.
edit it, put it out, and then I'd realize like, oh my god, the game is so loud you can't even hear me. Like I did that with a game called Haste, which is I think Landfall Games made that one. I loved the game, but my video for it is nearly unwatchable because the game is just so loud and you can't hear me at all.
I hate audio balancing more than any other process
Yes.
of making games or editing because it's just so, I feel like I'll take a clip and I'll be like, okay, let's get my voice and the game sounding perfect, and I'll spend forever trying to get it perfect, and it's like, all right, it's great, and then like 2 minutes later in the video, it's like, okay, now you can't even hear me over the game. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I end up going through the whole video and adjusting like every second by hand to make it
Yeah.
like
It's
perfect.
a nightmare. I agree. That's
Hmm.
one of my least favorite things too, is audio balancing. And it's so hard. That's probably been one of the hardest things for me with video editing. It's
Hmm.
just the audio balancing. Um, One thing I was curious I wanted to ask in the comments of the video that I made on your game, someone likened it to FNAF, where you're
Hmm.
constantly like checking cameras, checking doors. Do you feel like that? Did you expect that comparison? Do you think that that's like accurate?
Oh, I definitely expected it because I kind of thought it when I was making it. It wasn't my initial idea. Like when I was making the game, I wasn't like, I want to make Iron Lung combined with FNAF. But I realized as I was making the game that it definitely has like some similarities, especially just visually with the sort of curved 3D effect. is that just makes it look a lot like a FNAF game.
That's
And it does
true.
have a
Yeah.
similar kind of gameplay loop where you're spinning around and checking all your different things. Like I was definitely aware it has like the sort of FNAF style gameplay loop. And I think I joked into TikTok when the game first came out, where I was like, if I can get Markiplier to play this, he's gonna love it because it's Five Nights at Freddy's mixed with Iron Lung.
Yeah. Speaking of Markiplier, are you familiar with the movie, the Iron Lung movie he's making?
Yes,
I'm excited for
I
that.
hope it comes out eventually.
I know.
I've heard it's just in like a not development hell, but just like he's trying to find like a publisher or whatever
Okay.
the movie equivalent is, just
Right.
that won't like that where he'll still have creative control over it. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
the movie's been done for like a year and a half or something, and he's just trying to figure out a way to get it in theaters.
Yeah,
I
I've
really
kind of
hope
heard
it
that
comes out
too.
soon because I'm very excited for it.
I heard he like broke a record for the amount of fake blood used or something like that.
Yes, I heard about that.
Which I
Yeah.
mean, it's a blood ocean, so like it makes sense. But yeah.
Just you wait. The Pale Deep movie will come out in 2030. I'll get Markiplier on that one.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love that.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Be like, I was there from the ground one. Do a
Yeah,
movie review.
you can be in the movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just give me like a however long it takes to get the game from 7 Steam reviews to however many Steam reviews it takes to get
To make a
movie
movie.
made.
Yeah.
I think I've got a long way to go.
I think it's got the potential to, for sure. Like I don't really see how it's super different from Iron Lung, like in terms of what makes what makes Iron Lung popular. It just Iron Lung just got that notoriety. A big YouTuber played it. That's really what it
Yeah, I mean,
takes.
I think the Pale Deep has a lot of potential. It's just it's like half of making a viral indie game or whatever is like make a good game, and then also like you just got to get lucky. Like
Yeah,
somebody has to play it.
exactly.
I am hoping I'm holding out hope for a big YouTuber that reached out to me and asked for a
Oh,
code, which is
interesting.
really cool. That was a while ago, and
Right.
he said he was gonna play it hopefully soon. I really hope that happens because that'd be really cool.
That'd be
But
awesome.
we'll see because that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I know sometimes like they probably got a big backlog, so
Hmm.
hopefully it's just they haven't gotten to it yet. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited to see that. I was curious, how do you feel like when you finally release? Is it like if I might gotta rephrase that maybe. But how do you how do you feel when you finally like just put your game out there when you're like, all right, it's as good as it's gonna get right now? Maybe probably you think that it can get better, I'm sure, because I do too when I like publish a video. But just is it like cathartic? Is it nervous? Everything, all the above?
It's really exciting, but mostly terrifying.
Right.
Um, I remember when I first released Backspace, I was like, I was playing through it myself right after it came out, and I got to a point in the game where the game just totally broke.
Mm-hmm.
When you did a certain thing, the game went to a black screen and just never came back from that. Uh, and that was so scary because I knew the game was out and people were playing it and like were probably getting to the same section I was at. So I think I fixed it before anybody encountered it
Oh,
because
good.
nobody reported it.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's very exciting because it's like, oh, people are finally playing the game. But it is so scary that like, okay, is somebody gonna be like, hey, the game deleted like everything on my computer? I know that's not gonna happen, but like, I'll always
Yeah.
just be worried the game's just gonna crash or something won't work at all.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, honestly. It just like, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? It's totally gonna happen, I swear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do the same thing every time. Like, okay, what
Hmm.
like horrible event is gonna occur? It's like, what is that? Is it Occam's razor? No, Occam's razor. Murphy's
Murphy's
Law.
Law
Yep.
is whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and it's
Yep.
very true with game development.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't test something, it's going to break.
Yeah. Yep. As you've discovered a couple times, it
Hmm.
sounds like. I think all that's really left is just what's next for the Pale Deep. What other updates you have in mind past
Hmm.
the new modes, if there's gonna be any, and like Do you have any idea what your next game's gonna be, or is that you're gonna take like a hiatus for a while?
So obviously the very next thing is the Pale Deep update,
Yeah.
which is hopefully gonna come out pretty soon. I'm gonna be busy the next couple days, so I won't be able to work on it. But like I'm hoping like definitely sometime this month, I'm hoping to get that update out. I don't know if if that's like, if I have any other big updates planned for the
Mm-hmm.
Pale Deep, because right now I've put everything, well, once this update's out, I've done everything for the game that like I wanted to. Obviously, if there's any like bugs, I'll do patches, but I don't know if
Sure.
I'm planning on another big update. Um, some people have like requested like, or I don't know about requested. I did a poll because somebody asked about like lore for the game, and I did a
Right.
poll on my Discord server if people wanted like to see more lore, and I haven't done. I'm not doing anything like that in the current update, but depending on how things go, like if I'm there might be another update that sort of adds maybe some lore.
That'd be cool.
But we'll see if I'm feeling that, and if like it seems like I really just got to see. But
Yeah.
definitely the current update will be out. And then as for my future plans, I am in the early planning stages of my next game. I have officially made a Google Doc with a bunch of terrible sketches
Awesome.
of the game's interface, and who knows if that game will even come to fruition, because I mean, like, there was a project before the Pale Deep that I can't even remember the name of, but I like
Oh,
developed it and stuff, like you can play it, and I just didn't. I kind of lost steam with the project,
sure.
and mainly I came up with the idea for the Pale Deep, and I thought it was such a good idea that I just dropped that project for it and made the Pale Deep.
Yeah, no, that
So
makes sense.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to say. If there's, if anyone from my little like Discord server community is listening to this, which I assume they will, because I'm probably gonna like ping everyone in the server and be like, "Look, I was on this video, so
Yeah,
you
I
better
was
be watching this, y'all."
I was thinking I was gonna ask if it's cool if I post it in your Discord server, just the
Yeah,
video
yeah,
once
of
it's
course,
done.
yeah.
Okay, awesome.
But I was gonna say that if I do end up making the idea that I'm currently working on, I think some of my more long time followers or whatever will be very excited to see that game.
Yeah.
But that's all I'll say.
Okay.
I really think it's a great idea for a game. We'll see if it works out. But
Right.
that's again, my main focus right now is the Pale Deep update. So that's just kind of like that's just a Google Doc right now
Right. That's
with
just like a
some planning. Yeah.
in the thinking stages.
Yes.
Well, awesome. I think that's pretty much all I had. Anything else you want to talk about or mention before we go?
Play the Pale Deep on
Yeah.
Steam.
Pale Deep on Steam, I agree. And maybe check out Backspace as well if you're into those types of
Mhm.
RPGs.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is super cool. I love doing stuff like this.
Yeah, that's actually I'm so
I really
excited.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I
And thank you
appreciate it
for
too.
playing the Pale Deep on your channel. That's
Of
really
course.
cool.
Yeah. No, I saw it on TikTok and I was like, this looks really interesting. Like
Mhm.
that's my whole deal is I just really want to
Mhm.
get small indie games that don't really have a lot of notoriety out there. And
Mhm.
obviously, I'm not huge. I have like 80 subs, but it's something, I
Mhm.
hope.
No, I mean I super appreciate it. It's really cool. I like anybody being able to just like look up the game on YouTube and see videos of it come up is like that's super cool.
Okay, I bet. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Although I don't know why the YouTube algorithm is so like evil to you, because I have to like I have to search the Pale Deep in quotes to find your video, and it only gives me
Really?
the short for it. And like other Pale Deep videos come up, but for
Hmm.
some reason it does not want to push your video when I look it up. I have to like search it out.
Well, that
Which is why I didn't
super
find it until
sucks.
like a week after it came out. I
Right.
didn't find it until like a week after it came out because it just didn't come up. So I don't know
Yeah.
if gotta add more keywords to the description or something.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm not super up on the whole like search engine
Mhm.
optimization. I
Yeah,
kind of
I don't know
just
any of that
I make
stuff.
videos and put them out there, and if they get
Mhm.
traction, they get traction. If they don't, I try again.
But I'll put this video and the original Pale Deep video in my Discord server for
Awesome.
people to watch.
That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, it might
Mhm.
take me a minute to get this one out because I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah, yeah.
find like footage of like Backspace when we're talking about it and like Jovian Drive when we're talking about it and edit that all
That'd be
on there.
so
So it's gonna
cool.
take some time, but yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you again for doing
All
this with me.
right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.